Yeah, my name is Geraint Jones. I got involved in the wreck when I was metal detecting with my brother way back in the 70s. We went on to our local beach and we actually were metal detecting for about an hour or two when my brother found an interesting small medallion. I took it home, went through a vast amount of books which I've got at home, and eventually found it in a book written by a chap called Robert Stunwy about the ship called the Genora, which sank off Ireland during the Armada period. I learned to dive and I worked on the site for virtually 20 years of my life. And my job was to try and conserve some of the items that were coming up. We had to limit the amount that we lifted due to the fact that we didn't want to be overwhelmed with material. I started learning from books about preserving items, cleaning items, and supplied myself with all the equipment necessary to do so. So all the small artifacts in this museum were preserved by myself. The larger items were preserved by another friend of mine, Tony Alves. He was in charge of all the guns and doing all the research on the cannonballs and the guns. So in a sense, as a group, some of us split up and we took our own interests as a part of a team and worked in that as a project. I'd love to see young archaeologists take over and taking off where we left. It's a fantastic site for archaeologists to learn about history especially. So as a group, when we started, our hope and dreams were for young people to take interest in this wreck site and to carry it on. What I did notice over 20 years was the variety of actually sea life on the shipwreck. They increased literally every year. You had different species of fish coming in, which you'd never ever seen before. There was even seahorses found one year on the site, which I'd never ever seen in that area. There were certain species of fish that you would find off the coast of Spain and Portugal. They were coming in. So the temperature of the sea was changing, and you could visually see what was happening by different creatures that were coming in, different fish and that were coming in.
My name's Vincent. I'm a volunteer here at the Gwyn Museum. We have a ship that, unfortunately, we don't have a name of the ship, but this is a ship that was wrecked about 5 miles up the coast. It was a ship that we know sailed from Genoa in Italy, carrying marble blocks as a cargo and carrying passengers as well. The main initial idea was that this ship was heading for London, possibly, with the marble to be used in places in London, and just got blown off course. There's also a view that actually this ship was heading for Dublin, and this seems more likely because rather than the channel, because it means that they're sort of in the area here as they go past. It wrecked on the reef, so St. Patrick's Causeway along the further up the coast here, and was not known about in the area until in the early 70s. People were diving on the reef and came across the marble blocks. Over a period of time, the guys that diving on the wreck brought a number of artifacts up. Most significantly, from the display point of view, was a bronze bell, which we've got in the museum. It's hasn't got a ship's name on it. In fact, we don't know the name of the ship at all. But it was possibly used within the merchant ship as perhaps within a Catholic shrine. It has Catholic markings on it, perhaps as part of their their religion, so that the sailors and the passengers could pray and that sort of thing. They also raised 2 blocks of the marble, One block was cut into pieces, and the guys made coffee tables and that sort of thing from it. But the second bigger block was kept and ultimately was used as a basis for a sculpture by a local sculptor that now is on display on the harbour wall here in Barmouth.
My name's Cundy. I run the Malvern Archaeological Diving Unit, and over the years I've done quite a bit of work on this particular wreck, which is the Bronze Bell, or the Tal-y-Bont wreck site, which is just behind me, about 400 metres out to sea. We're in the top end of Cardigan Bay here in northwest Wales. This over here on the horizon, we've got Snowdonia and the Theme Peninsula round to Bardsey Island. There is a reef between us here and the Theme Peninsula. It runs about 10-12 miles out to sea. You can see this big hook of land here is an absolute trap for ships. They will come in and try and get round Bardsey Island and eventually Anglesey to get into Cardigan to Liverpool Bay, but they get blown in, particularly 17th and 18th century and 19th century ships under sail would be blown into this bay, only to be met with this reef, which I say does dry. And you can see the number of shipwrecks in this bay is absolutely phenomenal.